Hey, Journey, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I am great. I am great. I am so excited to finally get you on. It's been a long time coming to get you on here, and definitely excited. And I'm sure the audience is going to want to know who's Journey. And for the audience here, this is someone that I've known when she was a little girl, and she is super uber talented. She just dropped a new single out there. I'm gonna put links on our on the podcast on the information here, but I'm so proud of you. A lot of the stuff, even when I
Thank
talk
you.
to dad and watching you grow from where you're at to today, it's so exciting to watch your career and your journey. So thank you for making the time because I know you're a busy woman.
No, thank you. Thank
So
you for
check
having
this
me.
out. Yeah, yeah. And I think, one thing I've always wanted to ask you and what I want our audience is always interested in is what do people in your world with your skill set, your talent in the music as an artist, how did you get started, right? There's things where
Mhm.
people always see the positives, they see the glamour, they see the images, the videos, but they don't know about what's going on behind the scenes, right? And
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always since I was little, I've loved to sing. I've loved music. I have like some memories of when I was little, like singing at the YMCA, like with one of my friends. And like she taught me like songs I shouldn't be singing like at that age. But Um, it was just like I've always been drawn to music and just to singing. I feel like it's just in me. It's like one of those God-given talents.
what got you started, right? What got you going, right? You were younger, you're doing all these things, these cool things that you're doing with family. And, there's things that you're doing, say, in a garage, you're performing and doing things at the YMCA and just doing things, just performing. And can you kind of tell the group what got you started? What was the foundation with all this?
Yeah, so I feel like it's always kind of been in me. I've been singing since I was little, so it's just something that I feel like I've always known. I've always felt connected to music in some way. Obviously, my dad, like he was an artist or a rapper back in the day. So, I feel like I probably got those genes somewhere. And I know his dad actually was into music as well. Like his dad played the trumpet and he was in a band. And so I think it's just really cool, like how the lineage works. Um, but yeah, I feel like growing up with my dad, he introduced me to a lot of like what it is to be an artist, even though he wasn't doing it at the scale like that maybe he wanted to do it because he was a father and he had other things going on in his life. He still made time for it, and I thought that was really admirable. So yeah, just he had like a studio that we built when we used to live in Modesto. He built a studio in the garage, like a I don't even know, like a 7 foot little booth in the garage, and he had like his computer and his I don't know, all his equipment. And like at the time I didn't really know too much about it, but I know he was using Pro Tools, and so I kind of learned a little bit. Even though I was young, I was probably like 8 or 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that when he started that. So yeah, I was in the garage all the time with him, just soaking up the vibes, the music, and that's kinda like where I feel like my roots stem from when it comes to music.
Yeah, and what I love hearing there is, how you got started. You here you are growing up in an environment where Pops was doing things. He was, this aspiring rapper, and I thought his music was great. We loved it. We were
Mhm,
always there with your pops and listening, and loved it, right? Because it was talented. But like you said, he also had the priorities of being a parent, right, and doing
uh-huh,
the things he could do for family, which is really commendable. And I think, for what I like you said was it helped shape you, right? It helped shape
uh-huh,
everything that you're doing along with what you've learned and what you're consuming with what you're doing with the successes and also the things that are challenges. And I would say not everything is easy either, right, Journey? I
mhm,
think the one thing I'd like, you could share too is there was conflicts, right? There were things you had to choose what you wanted to do versus what maybe others wanted you to do. You had the school versus the soul conflict, the music, right? The things that, with what you were studying and what you wanted to do and making time for it, right? Again,
mhm.
being able to balance that. How was that balance for you when you were making those decisions, when you were being creative and started to become this artist that we know today?
Yeah, yeah, it was a challenge because I feel like you have this pressure of like, the real I'll call it the real world because that's like I feel like my career isn't like something that a lot of people do and it's looked down upon when it comes to like money, like, oh, are you really sustaining like, a life for yourself with this career? But for me, I just don't really care what people have to say because I really do believe in myself, and I feel like in this career field, you have to have some sort of delusion. Like, you have to believe in yourself more than anybody does because that's really the only way you're gonna make it. Like, all those doubts and fears that you may have, like, if they're gonna keep creeping up, you're not it's not gonna happen for you. You have to believe in yourself. So, although, like, I was in college and then I had the opportunity to like actually sign a major label deal. Like I thought about it a lot because I was like, well, you know, how are people gonna like take this? Like if am I gonna have time for school? Like there's a lot, there's a lot of challenges that come with that. But I feel like for me, the decision was kind of easier than it should have been because although like I do consider myself like an intelligent person, I'm didn't really like school like that. Even when I went to college, I felt like I didn't know what I wanted to study. And I felt like I was just doing it in a way to just, how your parents are like, go to school, go to school. And I'm like, okay, like I'm here, but I don't know what I'm doing. And in those early years of college, I didn't feel like I had like as much support as I needed. So I wasn't really like driven to go to school like that or to like actually finish it. And so I mean, I'm not saying don't finish school. Like, if you want to finish school, do that. Do what's best for you. But yeah, for me, it wasn't something that I was like really happy with. So I ended up, when I had the opportunity,
I think I lost you. Are you there?
okay, I'm back. I don't know what's going on with this connection.
Yeah, I didn't know if you're on Wi-Fi or if you're using your data plan at home. I
Yeah,
wasn't
I'm
sure
on Wi
what
Fi.
was going on, but it looks like from what, yeah, what it's telling me, I'm looking at it on my end as the host. It's saying user side because I thought it was me too. So I was looking, but I'm on the hard line. So I don't know if
Let
you want to
me,
get off Wi-Fi and get on your data plan, or unless you only have access to it through Wi-Fi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I can use my data, but it's showing I only have one bar. So I don't know if that's going to be any better. Let me see.
Or yeah, that still might be an issue too. Well, it might be better than what you have now. No worries. I'm sorry it's happening too, Journey. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening, but I'm getting messages on my thing that it was something with your connection. I don't know what it is.
Okay, this is my data, so hopefully it's working better. Does it show it's
Yeah,
better?
let's see. Let's see what
Okay.
happens.
I'm so sorry.
I see
Like,
you.
why is
I
this
see you
happening out
twice
of
now.
all
No
days?
worries.
Like, I don't understand.
You're good. Don't worry. Don't worry. So you mentioned when you signed your deal, you
Uh-huh.
were then after that it dropped. So when you signed your deal,
Yeah, so
you were talking about like, how that got you going. Yeah, I'll let you jump in.
yeah. So yeah, when I signed, I was in college. I think it was my sophomore or junior year, I want to say. Basically, like the way that I got signed was like so random, honestly. I feel like because basically, this was I was on Instagram before Instagram was what it is today, and so
Yeah,
this was
yeah,
back in, like, 2017, 2018 maybe. I was posting covers, and covers are basically just, like, you singing somebody else's song. So I would post covers, like, all the time, and, um, I had these pages that reposted covers. They kept reposting me, so my videos were just blowing up, essentially, and, now it's different. Like, nowadays, if you wanna get reposted, like, you have to pay, like, hundreds of dollars just to get a repost, like, it's
right.
crazy. But anyway, so this is pre what Instagram is today. So, I was able to, like, gain a following, and I had this producer reach out to me, and he wrote this song he wanted me to sing, and the song was This and That, which is, like, my first song, which is still, like, the biggest song I have. But, yeah, so we recorded that, and we put it out with the video, real low budget video, but it is what it is, and that's how I got discovered by, like, this label that I don't like now. We don't get along now. At the time, yeah, they had reached out to me to sign me, and I was like, they were in New York, they were based in New York, I was based in California, so I wasn't really, like, familiar, I didn't know anything about the music industry other than, like, what I've heard online, so I didn't really know what to expect, but they had reached out, and I ended up taking a risk. My first time on a plane, I flew out there and they signed me, and the rest is history. But, after I got signed, I was like still in school and I was trying to figure out like, what am I doing for real? Because I was missing a lot of my classes to be like on the East Coast to record and to, um, yeah, just to record and to build a catalog and do all the things that I was supposed to be doing. So, yeah, so I ended up having to make that decision and I was like, well, I'm going to drop out of college to pursue my music career because it was looking really, really good. Like there was a lot of things that were like,
Yeah.
I was like getting more money than I ever had in my life. And I was, there was just a lot of like positive things that were happening around that time. So I felt like making that decision was a lot easier than it was difficult.
Yeah. And that's interesting right there because what I like from my perspective, you took the risk, right? A lot of folks wouldn't do it because they don't know. But I also would say you have to take the risk. You just don't know. You don't want to have regrets, which is why, like you said, regardless of the situation that transpired afterwards, you took the risk. I like what you said. I took the risk, went over there and signed, right?
Mhm.
And as you're going through these challenges, right, and you're going through learning the industry, right, there's things that, I would say here you are on the East Coast now, you're doing things over there, you're talking to folks, you kind of are removed from your safe space per se,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And did music help you stay in a safe space as far as music itself? And then in addition to the music, what's also your experience, which might segue into to what you were just talking about with previous label or managers you had, but what was your also experience with in the industry being a woman, in a male dominated industry, right? Like, what
Mhm.
was that navigation like for you?
Yeah, at first, yeah, I feel like it was a safe space for me. Well, it still is a safe space. I don't say it was, but at this
Yeah.
specific time, yeah, it was definitely something I looked forward to doing every single day. I still do. The only thing I want to do, which is kind of crazy because it's like even when I was in college and I'm just like thinking I'm like I want to do music, and in retrospect, I could have picked like a music major or something like that to make my life
Right.
easier. It is what it is. But anyways, yeah, it is a safe space for me, but obviously, like, once you get your foot into the actual industry, you kinda start to understand, like, things are a little crazy and hectic and can be a little dangerous. Yeah, I feel like I've had my fair share of experiences with producers and artists and such because like you said, it is a male-dominated industry, so just being young and not really knowing, too much. Yeah, I did fall victim to, like, a few, like, weirdos, but it is what it is. You charge
Yeah.
to the game. Yeah, so but yeah, I feel like it if anything, it's just they're just experiences that shaped me, like, to who I am today. So, like, now I don't feel as naive and, like, dumb and, like, I'm like, "Okay, I know how to handle certain situations better." And that also comes with age too, so but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I like that because you mentioned something that relates to me too, or with the people like the weirdos you run into, right?
Mhm.
That causes us on some level social anxiety,
Mm.
mistrust or distrust, and then having to evaluate people and honestly being a little harder on folks, right? Because you just don't know what people's intentions are with what they're going to be working with you on or just in general, right?
Mhm.
But here's an interesting question. Here you are, you're safe space performing music. Do you consider would you consider yourself more reserved person when you're not performing? If you are, how do you then flip that, right? Because some people could just flip a switch or like quiet or reserved, but then now they're performing. Or do you kind of just consider low key anyway? You're always high energy at home anyway. Like what would you do? And then how does that tie into you being a performer?
Yeah, I do feel like normally I'm pretty reserved. I'm not really like super outgoing unless I'm with like people that I really know and I'm like like we know each other and it's like I could just be myself. But usually when I first meet
Right, right.
people or their first impression of me is like I'm quiet. And that's not like I'm like a, standoff. I'm like, I'm not just like observing who you are, and I'm just trying to get comfortable, and that's just how I am. But yeah, I feel like when it comes to performing, even like somebody like Beyonce, I feel like a reason I relate to her so much is because a lot of people in her life tell her that like she's very reserved. She's not out there like that, like normally. But when she gets on stage, it's like completely different. So I feel like having an alter ego kind of like helps in that just like coming to life on stage and just even not even on stage, but just like in music videos, content, like you have to put on like a personality. You kind of have to be extra and just like out there. And I feel like, it's just a part of the game, like in a way. But I enjoy it. I feel like I used to be like way more reserved and like way more anxious to talk to people and just get out there. But now I feel like I said, it comes with experience. Like the more you do it, the better you get at it. So I feel like it's really helped me grow just putting myself out there.
Yeah, no, and that's great. I mean, it is about growth, right? It is about
Mhm.
growing and outgrowing, right? And honestly, now here we are. I mentioned it earlier. You just released a new single. Used to know me, right? We all got a
Uh-huh.
chance to listen to it, and you know, to me, my interpretation was it deals with outgrowing people, right? And you just
Mhm.
mentioned it. It's growth, right? What have you learned about the necessity of leaving certain people behind to find yourself slash continue to grow?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like, yeah, it's necessary. I feel like when you're growing and evolving and the people around you aren't necessarily, it's hard to relate to them and it's hard to find like commonalities. I don't know, like the lifestyles are just different. So
Yeah,
yeah, this EP that I just dropped is it kinda talks about all of that. But it's not just about, like, relationships per se, like, romantic relationships, but platonic relationships, like friendships, even business relationships where you just feel like you guys aren't on the same page. I feel like I've dealt with that a lot
yeah, yeah,
with my old team. We didn't really see eye to eye on a lot of things, and I felt like they wanted me to be someone that I wasn't, and that's where a lot of the disconnect was, and so we eventually just kinda outgrew each other, and I feel like those things happen, and I feel like they're necessary. I don't really have a lot of regrets when it comes to that type of thing because I just feel like what's meant to be is what's meant to be, so and it will be, so if it's not, then it's not, and that's how it feels with a lot of people like coming in and out of, your life. But even as an artist, like business relationships, it's like crucial. It's like we have to be on the same page. Otherwise, like this isn't gonna work. You end up outgrowing that.
yeah, yeah. No, that's great. And that's a great lesson there too, right? You were able to identify it and move on from it, right? And
Mhm,
because they always say you are who you surround yourself with, right?
mm,
So good or bad, right? Just hopefully your people are conscious about it. There's this thing too that I was, reading about and listening, like the insecure vibe, right? And a lot of us have it. Whether we're awkward, we're imperfect, we embrace it. I know I embrace it with stuff I have, right? I
mhm,
think what I'm, listening to you, right? We all have parts of these, but I also think, that becomes a superpower. Just like you were just talking about right now with your journey, right?
mhm,
You've got this. You've embraced it. And good
mhm,
for you. And that's something that listening to you now, I like hearing that. And a lot of folks don't get a chance to do that, right? Because there's other things. Again, surrounded by folks maybe they shouldn't be, or they haven't realized they've outgrown yet. It's like I always tell people, stop walking into rooms that you have to get on your knees to get into the door
mm,
because you've outgrown it. Stop
mhm.
squeezing into it. Move
Right.
on. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's a lot of people will have a hard time doing that. It gets its comfort too, right? And
Mhm,
sometimes people don't hurt everyone's feelings. I would say the last thing that I think would be great. You've gone through this journey from the beginning. You've got this thing you're doing with family, with your dad. You're performing. You get a chance to take a risk. You sign on to a label. You find comfort in music. It's your safe space. There's others out there that are not so fortunate, right? To have an opportunity to get noticed, right? We know that there's around the world, there's people that have talent, whether it's writing, music, producing. Some of them just don't have a chance, right? What would your mantra to stay true, for young women who feel like they have to sell their soul to get the foot in the door, but they shouldn't? Again, this is not implying you did or anyone else did it, but a lot of the folks at our industry say that they feel like they have to do that. How do you
Okay.
keep them straight and narrow? What's your advice to them?
I feel like being you is like the best thing you can be. I feel like when people start to change you and they start to like try to shift you into somebody you're not is when you have to start reevaluating like who you surround yourself with because
Right.
like, the people that are for you, even when it comes to, like, your fans and your fan base. Like, if you're putting out
Right.
music and content that isn't necessarily, like, who you are to your core, you're gonna attract a lot of people that aren't for you, and they're not gonna stick around in the long run. But if you're, like, authentically yourself, like, all the time, you're always gonna attract people that are for you. So, that's how I feel. I feel like you don't have to sell your soul, and, I'm not at that level where I can say, like, I've had the opportunity to sell my soul, you know what I mean? But, like
I know. I know.
yeah, yeah, but it's, like, when it gets to that point, like, and also, like, having a foundation, like, you gotta know who you are, so that you won't be easily swayed to someone you're not, if that makes sense. Like, you have to have a foundation, and if you're religious, like, you have to believe in God and have faith, and for me, that's my foundation. I believe in God, and I feel like, His plan for me is greater than any plan anyone can try to shift me. Yeah, so, yeah, I just feel like just have a foundation and just stay true to you. I feel like that's the most important part because you're gonna
No, and those
encounter.
are words of wisdom. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
those are words of wisdom coming straight
Yeah.
from the mouth of someone who lived the journey and is going through it. I mean, and honestly, Journey, that means a lot, for the folks that are doing. Because I hear from a lot of people I talk to, like, "Hey, mom, I just don't know," and a lot of people have self doubt, right? And they're also
Um,
listening to others. And I always say this too: why are you listening to others? Some of these people don't want you to succeed anyway. Do it for yourself. Go challenge yourself. Don't listen to people who haven't done it. Right? That's what
exactly.
I always say first. Right? You could listen, get advice, but you wouldn't take advice about music from me because I've never done it, right? But I would
Mhm,
take advice from you from music, right? Because
mhm.
you've had that journey and you're still living it, right? And and honestly, Journey, this is great. And in closing to the listeners, and what I want to tell the listeners is to everyone listening right now who feels like they're living two lives, one for the world, one for the soul. Take a page out of Journey's book, guys. Life isn't always going to give you a clean slate to start from. Sometimes your studio is a messy garage. Sometimes your support system may or may not be existing. Sometimes the people who are supposed to guide you are the ones you have to outgrow. That's key. Remember that. But Journey, you show us that your mess is actually your message, right? And whether it's messy or not, it's the uprooting isn't a weight that holds you down. It's the gravity that gives you the strength to launch up, right? That's what I see here too. And being resilient doesn't mean you don't feel anxiety. You're not imperfect. It doesn't mean you don't feel the fear of failing or the pressure to fit into a mold, right? Resilience is looking at a path that says, teacher or safe bet, right? And having the guts to pivot, which you did, toward the path that says artist and risk. And it's being okay with the fact that the version of you from the last year might be someone people saying used to know you, but because the version of you today is finally the one that you were meant to be, right? Which again, you took the risk. Don't wait for the industry to give you a seat, guys. Don't wait for the family dynamic to be perfect. Don't wait for anxiety to disappear, your fears to disappear. Go after it anyway. Use your solitude to sharpen your craft, guys. Use your challenge to find your voice, pun intended. And most importantly, stay true to the person you see in the mirror because when you finally win, and you will win, guys, the only person you owe an explanation to is a younger version of yourself who dared to dream in the first place. Keep going, keep growing. Never apologize for outgrowing the people who refuse to see your light and stay resilient. And Journey, all I want to tell you is I am so proud of you, watching you grow with the journey. And, we're one of your biggest support system, as Dad will tell you that. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule to talk with me today. And, we hope to get you on again soon. And for everyone listening in, guys, follow, subscribe. We will be putting links to Journey's music and information so you can learn more about her. And again, take a listen to her new single that she just dropped, Used to Know Me. It's fire. We've listened to it and it's out there. So guys, Journey, thank you so much and really appreciate you so much. My pleasure.